G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another day where I read relationship advice stories. Don't forget the chance to love and be loved exists no matter where you are. And with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user CharmingEducator612, titled, I accidentally caused a war between my family and my brother's wife's family with one innocent text message. So my brother's wedding happened 2 days ago, and it turned into complete chaos, which I didn't even know because I wasn't there. You might wonder why I didn't attend the wedding if it's my brother's. Well, it's because of his wife's family. He did send me an invitation to the wedding because he wanted me to be there, but his fiancée told him that I couldn't attend because I had a boyfriend. You might be confused, but I'm a man, a bisexual man to be exact, and I have a boyfriend who I wanted to bring to the wedding. She said even though she doesn't have a problem with that, and he doesn't have a problem with that, her extremely religious parents who already forced her to do the wedding in a church would most likely banish us from the wedding and cause trouble between our families. After she told him that my brother told me I couldn't attend and told me why, you might think that I was angry, but the truth is that I was relieved. I hate going to big events with lots of people because of my social anxiety, and I already was used to not being able to attend certain events because of my sexuality, so it was nothing that I haven't heard before. So the day of the wedding, I stayed at home with my boyfriend. It's worth mentioning my parents apparently didn't know that I wasn't attending the wedding. I was just chilling at home cuddling with my boyfriend when I suddenly got a text message from my parents asking me where I was because they couldn't find me at the wedding. I told them that I wasn't attending the wedding and asked if my brother had told them anything. They said no and asked me what happened. I didn't see any reason to lie, so I sent them a text message telling them exactly why. Now I have to admit I don't exactly know what happened after I sent this message because they read it but didn't reply. And why do they care in the first place? They didn't notice I wasn't there before until the wedding was already over. They only noticed when the wedding party started. However, apparently my parents talked to my brother about it, and all of a sudden my absence was the main topic of the wedding party. From what I heard, two fronts formed. On one hand, my parents and the rest of the family against the family of my brother's wife, and apparently he as a husband now felt compelled to take her side and tried to argue in her favor. It's crazy to think that I was just sitting at home living my best life with my boyfriend while all of that shit went down at his wedding. The wedding party was ruined, and my brother appeared on my door angrily screaming at me as to why I felt the need to ruin his wedding. I was confused and asked him what happened, and he told me everything. I told him it wasn't my intention. I just told our parents what happened because they didn't know, and they wanted to know where I was, and I thought that he told them beforehand. He screamed at me that I ruined his wedding. I told him it's not my fault that he wasn't honest with them. I just respected their wish to not attend the wedding. I couldn't know that it wouldn't go down like this because, like I said, I couldn't attend several events before because of my sexuality, and my parents never said anything about that, so I thought that it would just be the same thing here. But I've got to admit that it's kind of sweet that my parents and the rest of my family stood up for me. They haven't done it before. That is a more than welcome change. But I still feel kind of bad because apparently I really ruined the wedding party. I think I get the deal. I think you've said it like 5 times that you ruined the wedding party. You say it enough times you might convince yourself that that's the truth, but no, that's not the truth in this situation. It's very obvious that your brother is a dickhead and the wife's family is a bunch of dickheads. Ostracizing you based solely on your sexuality is inexcusable, and it's not something that you should have to accept. But unfortunately, it's your reality, it's what your family has accepted, and it's what your brother has enabled. I'm sorry that that's the case, but it's not your fault. This situation is simply not your fault. That's really all I have to say about this. In the comments, your mum_infinity says, "You didn't do anything. You just explained the situation. Every action following that was a grown-ass adult choosing their own actions. And the snowball effect landed a big-ass golden egg right on his lap as it passed by to run the wedding over." Lamau? Opie's brother is so stupid not to even realize that his wife ruined the wedding the second she told him his brother wasn't welcome. But he comes and screams at his brother. What a pathetic mess of a person. Seriously, it was clear that it was going to go nuts the moment that I read that part. It's not your job to hide the shitty things that he does. It's his job to not do shitty things. And apparently his brother didn't even ask him to keep it a secret from his parents. OP is literally being blamed for not being a psychic. Sounds like my mother. The amount of times I got in shit for not keeping something secret when I didn't even know they needed to be secret is ridiculous. You didn't ruin the party though, did you, OP? You didn't turn up anyway and make a huge scene because you weren't allowed to bring the +1 of your choice. You were told that you couldn't attend, and why you didn't attend. The issue is with everyone else who, in 2023, still has problems with stuff like who likes who. Well done to your parents for standing up to you. Some of us should be so lucky. OP definitely didn't ruin the party. The bride and her shitty family did by making sure he wasn't invited over nonsense reasons. It's really amazing how allergic some people are about accepting blame for their actions, isn't it? I have a gay son, and I would scorch the earth if anyone tried to leave him out of a family event or anything else because of his sexuality. I'd be really ashamed of my other kids if they let their partners do this. And now, onto the update. I didn't think I'd give an update, but many interesting things happened. So after my brother's visit, his wife and him went on honeymoon, and the way the wedding party went might have been even worse than I imagined. What happens now is incredible. When I said in the main post that 2 fronts had formed, I only meant that metaphorically, of course. But it's no longer that. While nothing much interesting happened in the first 2 days afterwards, the terror started as soon as my brother and his wife went on their honeymoon. My mum and my dad visited me and told me how the wedding party escalated and they were so close to physical violence. I thought it was funny at first, but this truly bothers me. I also want to point out that you did a great job at convincing me that it's not my fault, but hearing my parents' side still gave me a bad feeling in my stomach. However, like I said, the terror started shortly after they went to their honeymoon. And when I say terror, I mean that my sister-in-law's family found both my Facebook and Instagram accounts and started spamming me with hateful messages. I received insults and hateful messages from various different accounts who all had one thing in common. They all had somewhat of a Christian theme, and all of them had the same last name, so it wasn't hard to find out whose account it was, mainly because I don't know my sister-in-law's family at all. I only know her, and I know her parents were homophobic Christians. But whatever. They not only started attacking me, they also found the account of my boyfriend over my account because we are linked as a couple and started to send him the same messages. The messages contained on one side typical bigot stuff like, "You're burning in hell for all your sins." One even called me and my boyfriend 2 devils in disguise. The other sides were just blatant insults. You get the idea. I called my parents and told them what they were doing. Then I sent a text message to my brother and screenshots of the messages his wife's family sent me, to which he replied that I shouldn't disturb him with that during his honeymoon, as I already destroyed his wedding party. I couldn't believe it. He was just like them. He did send me an apology after my mother told me that she called him, but none of this is the main reason I'm giving you this update this early. Because I got a call this morning from an unknown number. I hesitated because I thought that it was one of them, and I was right, but it was none of the people who insulted me. I heard a woman's voice who introduced herself as the half-sister of my brother's wife. She said that it didn't go unnoticed what her family was doing, and she wanted to apologize for them. I told her that I'm not going to tell anyone in her family about this, and that I don't blame her for her family's actions. She thanked me and hung up. I don't know why, but I have this feeling she only did this to protect her family from being reported. My mother wrote to me earlier that she wants to report the insults and harassment of these people, and that she demands for my brother to divorce his wife, or she will disinherit him from her will, because that's not how she raised him. A little radical in my opinion, but I understand where she's coming from. The entire thing escalated so much, it's unbelievable. Thank y'all for your support on my first post. In the comments, Misty Mountain Time says, "Can't wait for the next update. Let your mum be Mama Bear. You two really could be in danger given how these people are acting. Your brother needs a serious wake-up call. Stay safe, OP. I'd start keeping some pepper spray on you." As a Mama Bear, her actions are justified. My son is right next to me, and I know for a fact I would disown him if he did any of this shit, as much as it would break my heart. OP's brother has shown his true colors, and I bet she is devastated. This is honestly my biggest fear at the thought of becoming a parent. What if my kid sucks? What What if they suck so much they're like these people and hateful toward people I love? It'd be the greatest shame of my life to put more nasty assholes into the world. Can you report them on Facebook and Instagram? I keep screenshots of everything and document it in case you need to have to file harassment charges down the line. I would even keep that phone number from the apologetic caller. Yes, take screenshots and block and report them right after. No! Don't block and don't report on social media. Gather evidence, maybe ask once to stop the hate spamming, and then cease any and all responses, but keep everything and gather your ammunition. Edited to add, your brother chose this woman, and by default, her family. You were quite literally just existing and living your best life when all of this unfolded. You did not choose this. Please, do not allow your brother or his bridezilla to flip this on you in any way. You are still not guilty for any of this. Sister-in-law's family are angry about a group of people existing. That's a them problem. They choose to be angry, they choose to be hateful, and they choose to attack you for who you are. Just keep being you. I would indeed document all the messages you get and whom you get those from in case you need to report them. But how is reporting them for harassment going to out this half-sister? Not like the reporting of harassment will do anything anyway. Honestly, this family can all rot. I'd take the screenshots of every message they sent and blast it everywhere. Oh, and your brother can also rot, since he's chosen this family over yours. And OP replies, I meant that I think she might only have apologized for her family because she already knew that us reporting the harassment might happen. And now onto a final update of sorts, titled, Why am I so casual about this entire situation? Some of you were wondering why I seem so calm and casual in the update when I'm discriminated against. The truth is that I'm in a relationship with my boyfriend for 3 years now, and the things that happen now are nothing compared to what I have been through. I receive hateful messages almost daily, not only from their accounts, but just in general, and I've learned to ignore that. There have been way worse situations, such as when my boyfriend went to visit his family and I couldn't go with him. We kissed each other goodbye at the train station, and when the train left and no one saw it, a group of guys attacked me. I was sent to hospital because of severe injuries. Just to give you an idea of what I've had to deal with in the past. And don't get me wrong, we will still report my sister-in-law's family, but what they are doing is nothing that I haven't seen 1,000 times before. In the comments, Porticures says, I am so sorry about you being attacked. When my child told me that they were gay, they thought that I would not care for them. They were so wrong. I love them with all my heart. My biggest fear has always been them being attacked by those who think they have the right to, due to their ignorance and self-righteousness. You did nothing wrong. Your brother should not make you feel like it is your fault. Like you, I would have thought that he'd mentioned to your parents that you were not going to his wedding. It seems to me that there was already some animosity going on, and this was the drop that spilled the cup. Have fun with your boyfriend, and I agree that you should report their harassment. I look forward to any future updates. And yeah, OP, that is so entirely rough that you've had to deal with all of this. I am beyond apologetic that people are such pieces of shit to you. I'm grateful that you've managed to persevere in the face of all this animosity, and you have such an positive outlook on life after all of that. I genuinely can't imagine how much hate you receive and how much you have been through, and I'm sorry that people are like that to you. Just want to state again that none of this is your fault. You deserve only the best, because from what you've said, it has been rough, and I hope that things are better in the future, and I look forward to more updates. Anyway guys, what do you think of this one? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next post is by Throwaway535567, titled, Am I the asshole for not wanting to celebrate my brother's recovery because he was driving while drunk? I, 19 female, have a brother, 21 male, who has been spoiled rotten. He gets away with anything. He doesn't listen or take orders from anybody, and my parents don't seem to care about his attitude. There has been many fights about this. My brother was driving under the influence and crashed into 2 cars on the highway. He was in the hospital for a good while. I don't remember exactly how long. Everyone was worried about his condition, and each day just has been non-stop worrying about whether he was going to be okay. There's been a couple of fights, because my parents said the incident didn't matter too much as long as the people involved in the crash didn't die. I couldn't believe it. Well, he was able to recover, and my parents wanted to throw a party to celebrate his recovery. I was happy he was okay, but I have no sympathy for drunk drivers. My childhood friend died from a drunk driving accident, and I had to go into therapy. I had a problem with this because it felt like they didn't care that 2 people got hit. I voiced this opinion, and I got crucified, basically. My parents said that I was a bad sister for not being happy for my brother. I said I was happy, but it's like they didn't even care, and the reason he's allowed to get away with shit like this is because they keep filling his thick head with delusions. I'll admit, I got a tiny bit emotional because I remembered my friend's death, so I just went to my room and slammed the door. My dad came banging on my door yelling, "I hope you're effing happy!" I deeply regret even saying anything now, but am I wrong for thinking it's weird and disrespectful that they don't even care about this situation just because nobody died and not wanting to celebrate my brother? Edit, by recovery, I mean in terms of injuries. Second edit, as far as I know, my brother has been charged. I'm currently on the way to my boyfriend's house now because I can't stand my family. I can see why you regret saying what you said, but I don't think that you're wrong for thinking it's weird and disrespectful that they don't care about this situation. There's no excuse for drunk driving. We as a society should be entirely intolerant to that idea. I don't think that it should ever be acceptable. I don't understand the delusion of these parents. We are not going to celebrate your brother. Are you crazy? Why in any universe would we celebrate what he's achieved here today? He will not learn his lesson. He will drink drive again. He will kill innocent people, tear innocent families apart. I don't blame you at all for what you're saying. I don't think you should regret what you have said to your parents. Your dad is an asshole for coming after you like that, not the asshole. In the comments, Winter Lily says, "Absolutely not the asshole. I am disgusted with your parents especially, since they have to have known about the circumstances of your friend's death, and they should understand why you feel the way you do about this." Right? The words my mother used when discussing drunk driving with me as a teenager were, "If you ever get a DUI, do yourself a favor and don't call me. You'll be safer in jail than out on bail." That's like a Better Call Saul jingle. Safer in jail than out on bail. I have multiple relatives who have lost licenses for drink driving, and I cannot for the life of me understand why it's not a bigger deal than it is. Let alone why my mum and some other relatives actually go out of their ways to help the drunk drivers get groceries and similar stuff that's harder to do now without a car. In my opinion, if they didn't care enough about other people's lives to find a safer way or means of transport than drunk driving, why should anyone else care to help them avoid the inconvenience of taking the bus or simply just walking? Like, I realize they all grew up in an extremely traumatic setting, and the drunk drivers of the group are definitely alcoholics, but that doesn't excuse shit in my eyes, though. I've never said anything against that, cause it's not my circus, not my monkeys. Why start shit when it doesn't directly concern me? But it's not a dynamic that I want anything to do with. Valley of Sound says, "Drunk driving is like picking up a gun that you're pretty sure is empty and just firing it at someone. Most of the time, nothing serious happens, but in rare cases, there is an accident that seriously injures or kills someone. I used to think that driving under the influence should be treated more like attempted murder than a traffic violation, and I suppose I've mellowed out since then. But still, I completely agree with you that it needs to be a bigger deal than it is now because of the sheer risks someone takes when driving drunk. Not the asshole, but I would have attended and gave him a toast. To my brother, the drunk, who nearly killed 2 people and himself." Oh, and make sure to include the enablers, parents. Here's to the dangerous drunk and the reasons, eye contact with parents, he drinks. Not the asshole. They're too far gone. If I were you, I would focus on establishing a life away from them and their delusional world. And now, onto the update. I had to make a new account because something went wrong. I just wanted to write this update because lots happened overnight. My boyfriend's family is allowing me to stay with them for a while because my family is absolutely unhinged. My dad decided to show up to my boyfriend's house and cause a scene. I guess my little tantrum worked because he announced that they're not having the party anymore. He also said my brother hates me now, which I don't really care. He has also been charged, for those who don't know. An argument started, and it was basically like the argument that took place before. He kept saying I wasn't happy for my brother, and I said for the millionth time, I was happy that he came out fine in the end, but celebrating it and enabling his behavior is not okay. It was absolutely embarrassing because this was at my boyfriend's house, in front of his entire family, and they were trying to calm us down. As you guys know, I wrote it in my post, my best friend since we were toddlers passed away at the hands of a drunk driver a day after she turned 19. That effed me up so bad, to the point where I had to go to therapy for some time, and considering that next month will be a year since her passing, this entire situation has hurt me. When I brought this up to my dad, he said, "I'm sorry about that, but if it's almost a year, you should just be over it by now." I just told him that I'll go back to get my things and to leave, because they obviously didn't care about how I felt. I'm back at my boyfriend's house now, and they've been comforting me. Nothing hurt me more than my dad telling me to just get over my friend's death, because I've known her for my whole life. Anyway, this is just how things are so far. I blocked my parents and my brother on everything. Now that I've calmed down a bit and I have tons of support, I feel a little bit relieved. June 18th would have been her 20th birthday, and June 19th will be a year since some heartless monster took her life away. So I'm making both days all about her, even though she's not physically here with me. Thanks everyone for the amazing replies. I couldn't reply, shake my head. I sympathize with everyone who has lost a loved one or gotten injured because of some idiots who think it's acceptable to drink and drive. I love all of you, and I know my friend is rooting for me from above. In the comments, Sheep King says, "Less than a year and you should be over it? Are you effing serious? I'm never not going to be upset about his passing when I think about my brother, and I'm deep in my 40s. He passed 2 years ago, and I know a lot of people who have lost someone as close as you were to your friend. Some of them lost that someone decades ago, and it still hurts when they think of them. You will move on from it, but it's probably always going to hurt, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's completely normal. I'm sorry about your family. It's seriously effed up when people, especially parents, enable addiction instead of intervening to help. And to have the gall to come to your boyfriend's house to yell at you is all kinds of unhinged." Just Gay Garbage says, "I had a friend pass away when I was 10. It was my first experience with death and forced me to recognize my mortality. May 26th was the anniversary of her death, and I still go down to the bench we put up for her memorial every year. It's been many more years than one." OP replies, "When you were 10? Oh no, I'm sorry. That's a beautiful way to remember her. She's smiling down on you. Ever since my friend died, I would go to her grave whenever I was sad or had time, and my boyfriend would come sometimes too. It was just heart-wrenching. I remember I almost fainted at her funeral because it hurt too bad. I love to talk about my friend because she did nothing but lift everyone up. She had all these funny sayings and this crazy laugh, but although we shared other close friends, me and her were inseparable. I thank God every day that I got to spend time with her on her last day, her birthday. I am so sorry about your friend, and I think it's lovely that you're planning to honor her. Did your brother's accident happen after her death? If so, that is somehow even more egregious to me." And OP replies, "Yes, it did. And it's the fact that none of them care to realize how bad it really is. That's why I'm heartbroken. It's just so insensitive. I'm so sorry that your family is acting this way. Soak up the love from your boyfriend's family. Everyone grieves differently. I've lost many people in my life. Some losses have taken years. You take all the time you need to heal. Just as long as you're not dwelling on it, you're fine. I'm so glad that you have your boyfriend and his family to support you. I'm thankful that your brother is being charged. Hopefully he will have consequences and maybe even learn from them." And OP replies, "I'm glad too. Sometimes I feel like I'm just a burden on my boyfriend's family, but they don't care and have been treating me like the family that I deserve to have. Each day still feels painful, but my friend wouldn't want me to cry every day knowing that she's at peace. You are not a burden, OP. You're just recharging your batteries and processing some serious shit. Take things slowly and think about your next steps. Don't take your family's emotional shit. Reach out to people who you can trust to give you some emotional support and advice. Couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. They are some absolutely insufferable, terrible people, that family that OP has to deal with. I'm still shocked. I'm still blown away at how terrible all of them are. Even after seeing OP grieve and lose someone as close to her as her friend, they refuse to acknowledge that drink driving bad, don't drink drive, don't enable drink driver. They don't see that. They continue to enable him and celebrate him. It just baffles the mind, doesn't it? Anyway, that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.